Tonight on 7 News, new life for aged care, almost $6 billion to keep more older Australians safe and at home, ending decades of misery.
The families of the wedding bus tragedy sue the government a day after the killer driver was jailed for decades.
10 long years and still one hope. Find William Tyrrell. We have exclusive interviews on this painful anniversary.
Big news in our skies, new flights from Sydney to Europe that could supercharge the airfare war.
Sydney prepares to stand still for tens of thousands of runners. Sunday's marathon will close the bridge but welcome the world.
And Bulldogs fans off the leash for their first final in 8 years. We are live to Belmore and in Manly.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Mark Ferguson and Angela Cox.
Good evening. We begin with good news for millions of Australian families struggling with the trauma of aged care.
Canberra is delivering a $6 billion promise to change it forever. It's historic, aimed at keeping older Australians safe and, where possible, in their homes.
3.5 years after a Royal Commission exposed a system of neglect, violence and abuse.
Today we are putting the care back into aged care.
Securing bipartisan support to reinvent aged care funding so older Australians can remain at home longer. A $5.6 billion package, most on a new supported home scheme, cutting waiting times for packages from 12 to 3 months and faster access to essentials like wheelchairs and walkers. All clinical care paid by government, participants making means-tested contributions for additional care like gardening, cleaning, showering and dressing.
Australians will get the support they need and make a reasonable contribution according to their means.
No fee increases for those already in care, but for new entrants, means-tested daily fees indexed every 6 months. Maximum refundable accommodation deposits climbing to $750,000, with a new 2% levy deducted for up to 5 years going to the provider, cutting inheritances by up to $75,000.
This is about better care for more people in a more sustainable way.
That's the policy. The politics, the Coalition's making clear it is supporting the package, but it's not sharing ownership.
This is the government's bill, this is the government's reform.
Residential home operators welcoming funding certainty.
We're over the moon. We'll give investors more confidence to start investing. We need another 200,000 beds over the next 20 years. We're not building a single one at the moment.
Hoping an age-old problem will soon be fixed. And it isn't quite fixed yet. The opposition will demand the legislation goes to a Senate committee for public input, and that will delay a final vote for at least a couple of months. And it didn't exactly get unanimous support in the Coalition party room this morning, knowing the higher fees won't thrill many of their older support base. That's why the Coalition does want this done, but wants it done by Labor.
Mark Riley with the latest from Canberra. The Hunter Valley bus crash driver may finally be behind bars, but for his victims' families and survivors, the fight for justice is far from over. They're now suing the state government, claiming it also is to blame for the deaths of 10 people.
A week after burying his son Zach, Adam Bray began mounting a legal battle, not against Brett Button, but the state's Transport Authority.
They've contributed massively to the death of my son and none of his beautiful friends.
Hundreds impacted by the Hunter Valley bus crash agree. Victims' families, survivors, first responders, medical staff joining a class action filed in the Supreme Court today, just 24 hours after Button was sentenced to at least 24 years jail.
For me, they're equally accountable.
Transport New South Wales is accused of failing to maintain safety and infrastructure standards on Wine Country Road where the bus tipped.
Transport for New South Wales have got a hell of a lot to answer for.
So too Link Bus Lines, which is expected to be added to the lawsuit after employing Button with no background checks despite his opioid addiction.
Out of respect for the grieving families, survivors and first responders, Adam Bray wanted to wait until today to launch this class action. He says the lawsuit isn't about vengeance, it's about ensuring what happened to his son and 9 other victims never happens again.
I'll let the families pursue that class action. There's a process to go through.
A process Matt Mullen is committed to in honour of his daughter Beck. The purpose of this class action is to provoke change and importantly provide financial support for those that will be affected by this tragedy for many years to come. While nothing will bring their loved ones back, they hope this could help navigate life without them. Annie Puller, 7 News.
For so many, it's been a decade of unanswered questions. It was 10 years ago today that little William Tyrrell disappeared, marking the beginning of one of Australia's biggest unsolved mysteries. It's also one that torments Gary Jubelin to this day.
Benaroon Drive, Kendall, 10 years on and still no light shed on what happened to the little boy in the Spider-Man suit, William Tyrrell.
Police emergency, this is Simone.
Yeah, hi, my son is missing. He's 3.5.
Since that 000 call, zero progress.
We're talking the disappearance of a 3-year-old child and lives have been destroyed because of this, and still we haven't provided any answers.
It's been 5 years since the original lead detective Gary Jubelin left the case and the force, but he says it's time for an inquiry into the police handling of the investigation.
I think people need to be accountable.
His primary concern, the treatment of William's foster parents.
Need to know where he is.
Current investigators believe she knows exactly what happened. Their theory, William fell from the veranda. She panicked and disposed of his body. From Jubelin,
I investigated homicide for over 20 years. I'd never stood up and said, I know who's done this.
He still believes it was a known sex offender. 18 were registered as living within 30 kilometres.
I certainly am convinced that it's a third party.
In Kendall, locals say William will be remembered today.
You do then have that, I guess, ache for the person that's missing a little boy.
It's just upsetting that all these years that he hasn't been found.
With reminders, there's still $1 million reward on offer.
Somebody out there knows something about this case.
William Tyrrell's disappearance from this backyard 10 years ago became one of the highest profile missing persons cases in Australian history. The next chapter begins in November, the final hearings of the coronial inquest. With prayers, the outcome isn't an open finding, officially giving William a cold case classification.
And Chief Reporter Chris Reason joins us now. Chris, could this inquest lead to some sort of breakthrough?
Certainly everybody hoping there will be, and it's been on hold now for 4 years. But on top of that, the police have also sent a brief of evidence against the foster mother to the DPP to check if they have enough to charge her. Some legal experts say the police wouldn't make a move like this unless they had solid evidence. Her lawyer has asked for that evidence to be released, but the police have paused the whole process until the coroner's inquest wraps up, and that's late December at the earliest, guys.
Chris, thank you. It's a case that has captivated and haunted Australians for a decade. At the centre of it, William Tyrrell's foster parents. Later, Michael Usher speaks with their close friends for a raw, emotional look at their journey. That's after 6:30.
There's a health alert tonight for whooping cough across Sydney, where case numbers are exploding and nearing a 10-year high. Let's go to Angelique Opie at Westmead Hospital. Angelique, health chiefs are getting worried.
Angela, cases are on the rise across all age groups, but the biggest rise is among school children, where 600 are now being infected each week. Whooping cough all but disappeared during the pandemic, so our immunity is currently down. Health chiefs say that's what's causing this new wave of cases, which has been building all year.
We've seen an upswing and we expect that to continue, and it's typically a spring summer disease, so we may well see further cases, really calling on people to take action now.
Whooping cough is contagious and can be life-threatening, particularly for babies. Anyone in contact with newborns should ensure they've been vaccinated in the last 10 years, and if you suspect whooping cough, to get to a doctor early.
Angelique, thank you. The Defence Minister has stripped Army officers of their medals at the end of a probe into Afghanistan war crimes.
Tonight, veterans are furious at the decision and the timing, just days after the Royal Commission report into defence suicide was handed down.
26,000 Australians served in Afghanistan, most with honour and dignity.
Craig, no! Craig, stop!
But the alleged actions of a handful will forever stain their reputation.
This will always be a matter of national shame.
4 years after the Brereton War Crimes Inquiry found credible information, 25 SAS personnel unlawfully killed 39 Afghans. Up to 10 current and former soldiers have had their Distinguished Service Medals stripped.
Our soldiers are capable of great courage and bravery under fire. It has also shown that we can do great wrong on the battlefield.
But those punished aren't the ones who pulled the trigger. Accountability falling to their commanders.
It's an outrageous decision on the basis of allegations yet to be proven in a due process.
The timing of that decision also under fire, just 3 days after the Royal Commission into Defence Suicide was handed down.
How insensitive. How bloody insensitive.
Questions too about why former Chief of Defence Angus Campbell, who served as Middle East Commander, will keep his Distinguished Service Cross.
I believe that our troops were let down by a lack of moral courage that went up the chain of command.
So far, only one charge has come from the War Crimes Inquiry, but the government expects more prosecutions will follow, but warns they'll be slow, worked up over the next decade.
The long shadow of Afghanistan will continue to shape the context for our army for some years to come.
Rob Scott, 7 News.
A P-plater has died after a crash in Sydney's west early this morning. His car slammed into a tree in Blacktown around 4:30. The driver, a man in his 20s, died at the scene. He's yet to be formally identified. There were no passengers in the car.
Quick-thinking bystanders are being praised for helping save the life of a motorbike rider who was pinned underneath a van that had just run him over. The crash happened in Greenacre last night, and within hours, another rider was injured in the same spot.
Trapped under a van in Greenacre, the race was on to save a 23-year-old delivery rider's life last night after this tossed over the vehicle's bonnet as it pulled a U-turn. Locals heard screams and ran to help, working together to lift the 1.5-tonne van up and the rider clear. Serene Banno's son and husband among those emergency services are praising for their swift action.
All of a sudden they had a bang, and my son and my husband ran. They lift the car to pull that guy out from there.
The driver was a 52-year-old woman on her P-plates. They weren't displayed. Police still investigating who was at fault.
I don't know why that lady, she turned it that way. Got no idea.
That wasn't the only crash that kept emergency services busy here on Baronia Road. Barely 50 metres up the street, another motorbike rider came unstuck this morning. He slammed into the back of a parked truck, badly injured, a helmet likely saving his life.
It appears to be lower limb injuries. I think he might have been very lucky today, just sustaining the injuries that he did.
Andrew Denny, 7 News.
A father of 2 young boys found dead inside their Blue Mountains home has paid tribute to his sons in a heartbreaking statement. Nick Smith wrote, "The loss of our 2 beautiful boys has caused unimaginable pain and distress. Russell and Ben were happy, funny, outgoing boys. They love sports, soccer, the Penrith Panthers, fishing, books, music, spending time with their friends. We cannot understand how our boys have been taken this way." It's believed the 9 and 11-year-olds were stabbed to death in their beds. Their mother remains under police guard in hospital.
We have video now of the confronting moment a driver crashed his car, killing 2 people on Sydney's Anzac Bridge. Adib Sukar was weaving through traffic and going almost 30 kilometres over the speed limit in December 2022. Anya Lim and Hong Yi Zhong had been exchanging details after a minor prang when they were hit. The courts released this video after a jury found Sukar guilty of dangerous driving causing death.
The boss of Channel 9, Mike Sneesby, has stepped down after the worst year in the company's history. It sacked staff, hemorrhaged money and seen its share price tank, and worst of all, a report into allegations of sexual harassment and bullying in its newsrooms is just weeks away.
Not quite 9 lives, but Nine's CEO survived a series of scandals until today.
They get turned over pretty quickly if things just go a little bit pear-shaped, and they certainly did for him.
It started with a May mutiny, staff livid over the botched dismissal of former news boss Darren Wick.
What have you got to say to the women who've made allegations against you?
Prompting an investigation into his behaviour, payout and a company cover-up of both.
You have to be the leader in an organisation and you have to take accountability.
Don't.
A month later, Nine's chairman knocked over a journalist, then fell on his sword.
You've just assaulted me.
The pain spread to Paris, publishing staff striking on the eve of the Olympics after 200 of their colleagues were laid off.
Is it inappropriate this staying in a boutique hotel when you've just sacked staff?
There were calls then for Mike Sneesby to pass the torch.
The board would have been very conscious of just the never-ending negative media coverage.
Sneesby announcing his resignation this morning, a day after staff were told the report into bullying and harassment will be handed down within weeks. The announcement comes as Nine's share price hits a 3.5-year low. It's down 57% on Sneesby's watch. Nine's market value has nosedived by more than a third since the start of the year, with net profit slashed by almost a quarter.
It's a huge challenge for the incoming CEO. They're going to have to essentially turn around a freight train.
Amelia Brace, 7 News.
The countdown is on for a huge weekend of finals footy, and the buzz is certainly biggest in Bulldogs territory.
Live now to Mel McLaughlin in Belmore. Mel, Bulldogs fans believe they'll go all the way to the grand final.
Well, they certainly do, Angelo. To you and Fergo, you have to wonder what might happen if they do get all the way to the decider, given the wild celebrations we've seen here in Belmore. It's party time tonight over the last few months as they surged into the top 8, having been starved of finals footy since 2016. The Doggies faithful are well and truly off the leash as they count down to Sunday's big clash with Manly.
You don't need an eye test to see the passion in Belmore, from the barbers to the dry cleaners.
You have to win this doggy. I love this doggy.
The motivation's in the area, so let's hope we bring it home.
I love it. All the people here, you love this doggy.
Everyone coming in this week talking about the dogs?
Everybody.
8 years outside the 8, the kennel is due for a bone. Even in the shadow of controversy, you can't escape southwest Sydney optimism.
Even though they're doggies, even though Fox is out, I reckon we'll still take it.
To be sure, the Bulldogs deployed Terry Lamb and Josh Reynolds into Rabbitohs territory today, feeding the hungry with a call to arms.
If you're listening, get out there. The boys need it.
James Graham with a helping hand, buying $10,000 worth of seats for fans who can't afford tickets. Make no mistake, it will get loud. To anyone who tells you Doggies fans are too loud, they'll tell you you're barking mad.
I don't think we're noisy enough. We've got to bring on more noise, especially this weekend.
Madness in Belmore seems to come in 10-year cycles. Since 1974, the Dogs have made the grand final every decade on the 4th year. And if their win-loss pattern continues, this is the year of the dog.
It's written in the stars, ladies and gentlemen, it will at least make the grand final.
So I think this is the year, yeah.
Tom Saker, 7 News.
Yeah, so excitement certainly building, as we know. Don't worry, we're going to have more Bulldogs and Manly fans. We are going to head to Manly after this as well during sports. So we've got everything covered up. But yeah, having a good time here with the kids in particular, guys. Talk to you soon.
I'm kind of hoping they do, and I like this enthusiasm. I don't know you feel the same way, Fergo?
We're crossing to Manly later in the bulletin, I believe. Go the Doggies. Time to check the forecast now with Amber Laidler.
Amber, winds were gusty across the city today.
Angela, Mark, good evening. Yes, gale winds were actually recorded across parts of Sydney today, particularly along the coast and near the water, reaching 89 kilometres an hour off the Royal National Park, 72 kilometres an hour on the harbour. And those southerlies often made it feel several degrees cooler than these temperatures would suggest, while maximums hovered in the high teens, low 20s. 19 was the top at Cronulla, but it didn't feel warmer than 11 there after sunrise today. Further north, parts of the state's northeast have seen considerable showers, with 24-hour totals of up to 60 millimetres recorded near Moree. We've also started to see some showers rolling in over parts of the city, particularly this evening. How long they'll last, those details coming up in your full forecast soon. Mark and Angela.
Thank you, Amber. Now, is this Sydney's biggest bumbling thief? Next, a robber tumbles into a pool not once but twice. See the citizens' arrest in the West that brought him to justice.
Rockstar rescue John Bon Jovi prays for saving a woman's life.
From luxury hotels to some cute new residents, the tourism boom that's making Western Sydney the place to be.
Later, the food's more likely to lead to heart problems in newborns. Groundbreaking research, that's after 6:30.
And the statue that'll make you do a double take. Who do you think it is?
Welcome back. The state's top racing official has taken a swipe at Parliament's inquiry into the proposed sale of the Rosehill Racecourse. The chair of Racing New South Wales says many in the industry have raised concerns about the course of the investigation.
At how this inquiry has at times deviated well outside of its original agreed scope in an attempt to harm the industry as a whole.
Turf Club members will vote on the sale at the end of the year.
Residents in Sydney's West took matters in their own hands last night after catching an alleged thief red-handed. They performed a citizen's arrest, and when he got away, they gave chase before their man ended up in a backyard swimming pool, not once, but twice.
Creeping into cars, sneaking through homes, thieves are targeting Guildford, and residents have had enough.
Why did you steal it? Tell me why you steal it.
This alleged thief, easy enough to spot, confronted by two men on Rosebery Street last night.
I heard some noise, went outside, I saw people grabbing some guy saying, "What did you steal?"
The 42-year-old had a bag of items believed to have been stolen.
If you're not a f***ing thief, what is that? You f***ing pay for it?
While they waited for police, the man took off, making it to a backyard before ending up in its pool. He tried to get out, then fell in again. Cold, wet, with angry residents closing in. He didn't get far.
We got him. The guy that's been stealing out of your garages.
Yusuf Al-Mandawali has now been charged and was refused bail when he faced court here this afternoon. The magistrate told he was handed a community corrections order just last week for similar offences.
Tonight, he's behind bars, the citizens who helped put him there, warning other potential criminals.
For use that still, just remember, Guildford's not the way to go.
Bill Hogan, 7 News.
They'd never actually met until yesterday. Now Donald Trump and Kamala Harris have shaken hands twice in 2 days. After a roller coaster debate, they were together again for the anniversary of 9/11. Meantime, officials in Springfield, Ohio have responded to Mr. Trump's claim, slammed as outrageous.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats.
It is disappointing that some of the narrative surrounding our city has been skewed by misinformation.
More than 300,000 Americans clicked on a link to register to vote after Taylor Swift announced she's backing Harris.
Rock legend John Bon Jovi has prevented a tragedy, persuading a woman to not jump off a bridge in Nashville. The singer was in the right place at the right time, filming a music video nearby when he and his assistant noticed the woman. He coaxed her back over the railing and gave her a hug. Local police praised him for his actions.
London, LA and now Liverpool. Still to come, the tourism boom that's bringing a wave of five-star hotels to our west.
Runners are pouring in ahead of the Sydney Marathon. Why this year's race could be a record breaker and cause traffic chaos this weekend.
Breaking tonight, Sydney's brand new pathway to Europe without a stopover.
And ahead in Sport Live from Bulldogs Heartland, needles and adrenaline. Tommy Turbo's pledged to play through the pain.
There's a lot on the line this Sunday at the Sydney Marathon, and this year it's so big they're closing the Harbour Bridge.
Thousands of runners will take over the city's streets, hoping to give the race elite global status.
London, Boston, New York, Tokyo, Chicago and Berlin, all cities synonymous with marathons. Officially, they're world majors and Sydney could be next.
You do not get a better finish line than the Sydney Opera House, and we feel we should be sitting beside them.
It's no easy club to crack. Sunday's Sydney Marathon will be judged on a range of secret criteria. This, the woman we need to impress.
If everything on Sunday goes according to the plan that they've shared with
with us, then I'm hopeful that it will happen.
Registrations are at an all-time high of 25,000.
It was all smiles.
The start
Thousands
lines
of competitors
shifted too.
storming.
Roads from North Sydney to the city and east to Kingsford will be closed between 3:30 in the morning and 3 p.m. The Harbour Bridge will shut till 10. The Cross City Tunnel will be open and free.
Running a metro every 4 minutes early in the morning. We'll also have extra train services.
There aren't typically any medals awarded for cheering, but spectators can help the Sydney Marathon get over the line. The race will be judged in part on the size of our support crowds. And with wet and cold conditions forecast for Sunday, it'll be a marathon effort just showing up.
By the end of the year, Sydney will know whether or not they passed.
Jodie Lee, 7 News.
Now to the final instalment in our week-long series on the new Western Sydney Airport, and for every Sydney-sider, this could be the most important. The flow-on effects from a tourism boom will be profound, injecting mountains of international money into every corner of the economy.
New arrivals of the koala kind, making themselves at home as Sydney Zoo prepares for the arrivals Western Sydney Airport will bring.
We'll be their centre of gravity. It's going to be an enormous benefit for us.
For tourists touching down the Eastern Creek attraction just 20 minutes away.
Get off your plane, come and have your koala experience, have breakfast, spring day in Sydney. It'll blow people's minds. They'll love it.
As the new airport makes room for Qantas, Jetstar, Singapore Airlines and up to 10 million passengers a year, Western Sydney is making rooms. Just minutes away on the motorway, the Liverpool Catholic Club, already with a hotel, conference centre, ice rink, now planning for much more.
Quite feasibly look at doubling the accommodation facilities. We're certainly located in the perfect position.
Part of a boom in rooms across the region, hotel developments from Campbelltown to Parramatta, Cabramatta, Penrith. Tourist operators already selling Western Sydney direct to millions in Southeast Asia.
We want people that are coming in from any destination in the world to spend here, stay here and experience our region. We have so many different attractions. We want it to be a global destination.
The new airport not just boosting Western Sydney tourism, but adding to its attractions. With all the retail and restaurants planned for the terminal and the precinct, it's expected to be a destination in its own right. And what they'll see on arrival is being crafted at Padstow, the Great Emu in the Sky, a 30-metre high steel sculpture to be placed at the airport's entry interchange.
Footings poured makes me realise just how big it's going to be. It's going to be a really, really amazing thing to see coming in or out of the airport.
Paul Caddick, 7 News.
In breaking news tonight, flights from Sydney International to Istanbul will begin in December, providing a new pathway for travellers to explore Europe. The route will include a stopover in Malaysia to break up the 20-hour flight, but from late 2026, Sydney travellers will be able to make the journey to Turkey without a layover.
It was a seriously cheeky breach of royal protocol, but Charles didn't seem to mind. Kiwi rugby players dragged the King into a group hug during a reception at Buckingham Palace, much to his delight. The New Zealand Black Ferns did ask for permission first, and King Charles laughed it off. He said it felt like he'd been flattened by a scrum. They've dedicated their lives to finding William Tyrrell. Still to come, a 7 News exclusive. The women behind the Where's William campaign share rare insights into his disappearance.
Plus, is it a true likeness, the tribute to the late Queen, that's really turning heads?
And soon in sport, live from Belmore, the baby rooster Trent Robinson can't stop crowing about.
Welcome back. The mystery of William Tyrrell's disappearance still haunts so many. For his foster parents, it's been a very difficult decade. Grief at losing the young boy under their care and constant suspicion that they were involved. Speaking exclusively with Michael Usher, Claire and Alice Collins, who run the Where's William campaign, have given their insights into the foster parents.
You know William's foster parents very well. I think it's fair to say that you are almost family. On this anniversary, how are they?
They're crushed, Michael. They're crushed. They remember William every minute of every day. They live a nightmare.
Does anyone, you or them, hold any hope about finding William?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hope is the key.
With cases around the world with kids who had been abducted turning up 10, 20 years later, there is still a chance that he is out there.
Do they believe that William might still be alive?
In light of the fact that there is absolutely no evidence that William is deceased, there is that very, very slim chance.
Yeah.
Has there been any evidence at all found about his whereabouts or any of the circumstances around his disappearance? Any forensic clues?
To the best of our knowledge, there is absolutely no evidence whatsoever.
Let's be really plain about this, because the police have been leaking at certain points saying that they believe the foster mother had involvement, that his whereabouts would be known, that essentially there would be a resolution of some kind. That has all come to nothing.
Yes.
That's correct. It's all come to nothing. And what most people wouldn't realise is that William's foster parents have fought tooth and nail behind the scenes to keep William's investigation open. And then for the current investigators to openly accuse her of having some involvement in William's case, it broke both of them.
Are you of any doubt at all that the foster parents, William's foster parents, are innocent?
I have no doubts in my mind that they had absolutely no involvement in his disappearance.
Have the police failed William Tyrrell?
The current investigators, in my view, have absolutely failed William Tyrrell.
Should there be an inquiry into police actions of recent times?
I believe there absolutely should be. I think we actually need a royal commission into the investigation into William Tyrrell. Not one shred of evidence, not one answer, not one phone call to say we found him. Nothing, nothing. It's as though he's just vanished.
To someone who may know something, right now, watching this, what do you say to them?
Make the call.
Make the call.
And we will do everything in our power to continue that William is out there.
We're never giving up, and neither is his foster parents.
The New South Wales Police Force has issued a statement tonight saying they remain committed to finding William Tyrrell and continue to prepare information for the coronial inquest to find out what happened to him. Anyone with information should contact Crime Stoppers.
Taking a look at finance now, in the local market soared to an 8-day high, adding 87 points. Mineral stocks proved a key player, Pilbara soaring by 8%. Buy now, pay later company Zip also rose. And one Aussie dollar is currently buying 66.73 US cents.
A high-fat, high-sugar diet during pregnancy could harm the next generation. Groundbreaking findings on the impacts of maternal obesity. What scientists are saying next.
Plus, is it the Queen or Mrs Doubtfire, the royal statue that has sparked fierce debate? Don't miss that story soon on 7 News.
First, Mel is back with Sport Live from Bulldogs Heartland.
Mel, it's like Christmas has come early out there.
Hello again to you both. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Back in the finals for the first time since 2016. Doggies fans, they're savouring every moment coming up in sport. Why Matty Burton's convinced the best is yet to come. Plus, Tommy Turbo's worrying admission about his injured shoulder. And things get serious at the Giants. Why Adam Kingsley ordered the cameras off. Welcome back. Well, to celebrate the end of Canterbury's 8-year finals drought, tonight's sport comes to you from the heart of Doggies territory in Belmore with the Josh Addo-Carr saga in the rearview mirror. For now, hopes are high for Sunday's eliminator against Manly at Accor Stadium.
The last time the Doggies snagged themselves a final, Josh Reynolds was 5/8. That all changes on Sunday.
Oh, it's huge. You just feel, I'm sure you've seen what's been going on at Belmore for the last couple of months.
From Bar, Terry Lamb to the man known as Grub and many more, Canterbury's number 6 jersey has a storied history, one Matt Burton's intent on adding to.
The last 2 weeks have been disappointing, but it's a totally new competition this weekend, so we're extremely excited.
One of the few Bulldogs with finals experience, Burton knows the onus is on him to lead from the front against Manly.
Us leaders get together and speak about a few things, so we'd definitely be taking the boys with us this weekend, and we know our best footy's in front of us.
5 years after his first final, Bronson Xerri gets a second bite at the cherry. The 2019 eliminator between the Sharks and Manly at Brookie was Xerri's final game before a positive test for anabolic steroids halted his career and upended his life.
It's been a hell of a journey, and there's a lot of change in myself as a person, but I want my football to be the talking and hopefully the success of this club to be the talking point instead of my past.
Nick Markham, 7 News.
Well, from Belmore, we go live now to Jaleesa Apps in Sea Eagles territory. Jaleesa, it's all blue and white here, very different where you are.
Yeah, Mel, I'm in Four Pines in Brookvale, and they are very passionate. In fact, they were watching that Bulldogs package and they were actually booing, but they're very excited to see their team in the finals for the first time since 2021. Of course, they'll be doing it with Tommy Turbo there, but he will still be carrying that injured shoulder.
Just in time for the finals, the Sea Eagles are turbocharged.
Really good, ready to go. Everyone starts the year wanting to play finals footy, and now that we're here, it's very exciting. These big games, you need to prove yourself.
Manly fans held their breaths when Tom Trbojevic was forced from the field with a shoulder injury. Just 2 weeks later, Manly's star is ready to return against the Bulldogs. But he's not exactly fully fit. He won't have contact on his injured shoulder until game day.
Luckily, they have some painkilling injections that make things go away, so we'll be fine. Look, you get adrenaline when you play footy, so I'm sure we'll be able to get through the 80 minutes and then we'll deal with the pain afterwards.
In 229 games in the NRL, finally Luke Brooks will get his first taste of finals footy.
Start of my career, probably wouldn't have believed it, but we're here now, and glad I'm playing some finals. Definitely felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. I honestly can't wait to get out there. It's going to be a massive game.
After 12 seasons in the NRL, he's determined not to waste the opportunity.
Yeah, I want to make the most of it. It's taken this long to get here, so who knows when I'll be back. So we've got an opportunity to do something.
Jaleesa Apps, 7 News.
Trent Robinson has complete faith in Sandon Smith to take the Roosters deep into the finals. The first challenge is a head-to-head battle with Nathan Cleary in Penrith.
Crowing early.
Morning.
A Roosters coach believing in Sandon Smith.
The belief I have in him and his role that he's going to play, he's ready.
Sam Walker and Smith seen by Robinson as the Roosters' future halves. That future backtracked to the present when 2 games from finals, Walker blew his knee.
Yeah, this final series is coming up, and I think that'll be me in the 7 jersey.
So far, so good for the Tricolour's new half. Smith's real test tomorrow night against the man in black.
Excited going up against sort of Nathan Cleary, that 7v7. Been pinching myself, it's a really good opportunity.
From Gosford, Smith came through the Roosters Central Coast program, making his NRL debut at Gosford Stadium. The 21-year-old now believes a title beckons.
And we can do it too, we have that total belief from the coach down to all the players, so we're excited to see what we can do.
A massive blow for the Knights. Bradman Best not on the plane to Townsville for Saturday night's final against the Cowboys. The Origin star out with a hamstring injury. Andrew McKinlay, 7 News.
Adam Kingsley is getting cagey ahead of the Giants AFL semi-final against Brisbane. At training this morning, the Giants coach asked for TV cameras to be turned off.
Can we just have no cameras on this next drill, please? Yep. Sure, mate. I just think we were trying a few things that I didn't really want to make sure, didn't get out. I'm not going to tell you what they were either before you ask.
Fair enough. The winner on Saturday night at NG Stadium plays Geelong in a prelim final. Swans captain Callum Mills will miss their SCG prelim with a hamstring injury. Well, Tim David followed a duck with some outfield magic in Australia's T20 opener against England.
Oh my goodness me! Wow! What an extraordinary catch. He had to make up so much ground. Oh, just in! Just stayed in. That is quite brilliant. Longer.
Earlier, Travis Head clubbed 30 off one Sam Curran-over on his way to 59 off 23 balls. The Aussies won by 28 runs. All right, before I go, Jacob, how are you feeling ahead of the game on Sunday?
I won't lie to you, I'm scared, but all I want to say, sorry Fergo, Manly going down.
It's all over.
That was really polite. I'll leave that with you, Ange and Fergo. Sorry, Fergo.
I feel like I've been set up.
I thought you were stitched up a little bit too, but I loved it.
$10, Jacob, we've got you.
I'll pass that on.
There's long been an emphasis on pregnancy and diet. What a mother eats, her baby does as well.
But tonight there's new evidence that fatty foods can start lifelong heart problems for babies while they're still in the womb.
It's naturally a time of high excitement and sometimes high anxiety, and now a natural diet has never been more important.
It's about the diet that's being consumed. So it's the high-fat, high-sugar diet that has been associated with these changes in markers in the heart.
Australian scientists analysed samples from the fetuses of pregnant baboons. Some were fed high-fat, high-energy foods as part of a research project in the US. Others had a controlled diet. They found the babies of the unhealthy group had lower than normal levels of a critical thyroid hormone, which disrupts cardiac development.
It really does negatively impact the developing heart, and it can increase the risk of cardiovascular disease in later life.
The diet also increased the chance of the baby becoming insulin resistant, potentially triggering diabetes as an adult. What's worse, the heart can't repair itself after birth, so even if the child adopts a healthy lifestyle, the damage has already been done.
This research really supports the fact that a healthy diet for women before they get pregnant and during pregnancy is important.
Researchers stress, though, this isn't about instilling fear, rather encouraging everything in moderation, with mothers allowed to enjoy the occasional treat. Amber Laidler, 7 News.
A bronze statue of the late Queen has turned heads in Northern Ireland. The monument was supposed to commemorate the second anniversary of her death, unveiled alongside an existing statue of the Duke of Edinburgh. But critics were quick to point out it looks more like the Robin Williams character, Mrs Doubtfire, than the Queen. It's drawn comparisons to a much mocked statue of football legend Cristiano Ronaldo, among many others.
Not quite that bad, I don't think. Amber is back with the weather now.
Amber, how are the next few days looking?
The forecast is showing both sunshine and showers on the way. We've just received your latest weekend forecast. That's coming up next.
Tonight's 7 News headlines. The Prime Minister has unveiled a $6 billion aged care plan designed to keep more Australians out of nursing homes.
The search for answers continues as we mark a decade since the disappearance of William Tyrrell.
Bystanders are being praised for helping save the life of a motorbike rider pinned underneath the van at Greenacre.
And the CEO of Nine Entertainment, Mike Sneesby, has resigned.
Now here's Amber with the latest on Sydney's weather.
Thank you, Mark. We are seeing some showers rolling in over Sydney at the moment, though conditions are forecast to ease later in the evening. Right now in the city, it is 15 degrees, though in a moderate southerly, it does feel closer to 10. To the satellite, and a passing cold front and trough extending down from Queensland have brought showers to parts of the state today as those systems combined and tracked east, with a cool, gusty southerly change arriving in its wake. Another cold front is set to brush the state's east during the weekend, which will likely generate some more unsettled conditions. But elsewhere tomorrow, 22 degrees with showers easing is expected in Brisbane. A bit of a frosty start on the way for Canberra, dipping to -1. A shower or two and 17 degrees tomorrow in Melbourne. A sunny 28 expected over in Perth, on the way to 36 degrees tomorrow in Darwin. Statewide, there is a chance of light showers along northern and central parts of the coast and adjacent ranges, but dry and sunny conditions are expected elsewhere, with a bit of a chilly start expected around the central west and central and southern tablelands. Closer to home, it should remain dry throughout the day. There's just a slight chance of a light shower near the coast during the morning. Temperatures looking pretty close to average, reaching 19 to 20 degrees across much of the west, 19 degrees tomorrow at Manly, 17 along the rest of the beaches. Along the coast tomorrow, southerlies are set to reach up to 30 knots offshore during the morning before decreasing to around 10 knots later in the evening. So a strong wind warning is in place for the waters off Sydney tomorrow, also for the Macquarie and Newcastle coast, with gale winds forecast further north of Byron Bay and the Coffs Harbour. Back here in Sydney tomorrow, though, we are expecting partly cloudy skies to end the working week. A warm 13 degrees forecast overnight. 19 is the top tomorrow, though in those brisk southerlies, it will likely be a little bit chillier than that during the day. Daytime temperatures are then set to bounce around a little bit over the weekend. It is looking warm and sunny during the day on Saturday. 23 to 24 degrees is forecast. There's just a slight chance of a late shower, most likely near the city and the coast. Then maximums dip back below average to 16 to 17 degrees on what's shaping up to be a bit of a wet and windy Sunday. Those showers once again most likely near the coastal fringe. But the good news is we should see that sunshine return in time for the start of the working week. Mark and Angela.
Right, Amber, thank you. That is 7 News for this Thursday. We'll have updates for you throughout the evening.
From all of the 7 News team, thanks so much for your company. Have a great night.
Good night.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want every minute of every day, including breaking news alerts. Download the 7 News app now.